Our therapist, confirmed a session, and he was on the calendar. The email was polite in the way good stationery is dangerous. "Looking forward to seeing you both," wrote the therapist. "We'd stopped paying to referee our better selves. Confirming tomorrow 7 p.m. Naomi plus Rowan. Location, telehealth. Link below." The subject line put a small knife in the sink. Appointment reminder, couples. Under it, our shared family address smiled like the clerk who remembers your order and assumes you'll want it forever. I was standing at the counter with a fork in a square of cold lasagna, pretending frugality was a lifestyle when the notification slid over my lock screen and turned our kitchen into a waiting room. Naomi had texted at 8, "Panel donors, quick drink, don't wait up," with the green heart we've trained to mean "say yes to my later." We've done that algebra since spring, when the center learned to cash checks delivered by men in navy coats with practiced benevolence. Rowan is one of their names. He curates money, rooms, sentences, the part of apology that photographs well. He had CC'd the therapist in an earlier thread. I saw it now, underneath, like a receipt that had finally remembered it was a confession. I clicked through because I am worse at pretending I didn't see than I wish. The body of the email wore good grammar. "If you need to reschedule, please reply all." A button promised "add to calendar." The calendar was already there, my calendar, our calendar, because automation is a romance we once fell for. Tomorrow, 7-8 p.m. couples. Location, link. Guests, Naomi Rowan. I put the phone down. The dog, who had been rehearsing indifference on his rug, lifted his head and decided to participate in my dignity by not overreacting. I turned on the tap because I like the honesty of water. When the stream sounded like the only answer that wasn't theatrical, I did the thing that keeps me from making speeches in lobbies. I walked to Loom. Loom smells like orange peel and reprieve. Its lights are warm enough to permit forgiveness and bright enough to prevent perjury. Anna stood behind the counter with sleeves rolled, wiping a clean surface like the faithful do. The pale crescent scar on her wrist caught the light like a modest siren. She watched my posture cross the threshold and poured water without requiring a thesis. "Which professional scheduled your feelings without consent?" she asked. "Our former therapist," I said. "Couples tomorrow, plus one Navy letter." Anna's mouth tilted, not unkind. "Spectacle is a sugar crash," she said, tapping the counter once with her knuckle. "Mara will insist you cook." Mara sat in her corner, red scarf folded into compliance, notebook flattened by a rubber band, eyes tuned to collect accurate mistakes. I slid into the chair opposite and placed my phone face up like a reluctant witness. She read the thread, the calendar square, the way link below impersonated mercy. "Bread or sugar?" she asked. "Bread," I said, and the word found the seat belt and clicked. "Good," she said. "Go home. Lamp on. Email on the table. Door unlocked for accuracy, not for guests. Ask for one sentence you can live inside. If you need to be cruel, do it in your kitchen. Cruelty becomes smaller next to the oranges." On the walk back, I took ninth because superstition likes to wear rigor like a coat. The Arcadian's awning taught rain to behave. Under it stood Navy, speaking benevolence into a phone like it had asked to be forgiven. He didn't see me, or he preferred fiction. The city looked better when I looked away. At home, I turned on the kitchen lamp, the one that makes the table brave, and opened the email again because facts insist on daylight. The calendar event blinked like a creature that believed it had been summoned by God instead of a man with high limits. I unlocked the door because Mara says accuracy is kinder than dignity. The dog padded in, circled once, and lay down with a sigh that sounded like his opinion of talk therapy. Naomi came in at 12, 11 with drizzle in her hair and the lanyard still around her neck like a task that didn't know it was over. She closed the door with that extra inch of care that forgives hinges. She saw the lamp, the email on the screen, my hands failing at furniture. She stepped closer and read. The muscles in her jaw made a decision. "The therapist sent you an RSVP," she said, numbing the stain before it became pattern. "Couples," I said, "with him." She leaned her hip against the counter as if selecting jurisdiction. "Accuracy," she said, "and touch first if generosity can be afforded." "Touch then truth," I said, because my body wanted to be consulted before my mouth filed a report. We didn't go to bed to erase an appointment. We went because bodies can keep promises while words decide which ones to sign. She stood in front of me, and I raised the zipper of her dress slowly. Exact, the motion we reserve for nights when we intend to be careful with what survives morning. The fabric made the small, honest sigh clothes make when they agree to stop pretending to be architecture. She placed my palm at her hip and pressed until stay remembered its job. I kissed the hinge of her jaw where her certainty keeps breathing, and she said my name in the version that means keep. We asked our short questions, here, slower, more, and answered in breath, the language that never auditions for a third party. We laughed once because a sleeve attempted melodrama and she rescued me with her teeth. Heat arrived like tide. We met it where we always do, competent instead of cinematic. When we came apart together, the room looked like it had decided to continue believing in us. After, with the window cracked so the city could practice weather for someone else, she rested her cheek on my chest and drew a circle with one finger over the place where my worst ideas nap. "Accuracy," she said into skin. "He wrote the therapist to ask if she'd see us. He CC'd me and the admin and the part of himself that believes paperwork is intimacy. He framed it like a surprise gift. 'We both want what's best,' he wrote." I deleted the draft where I explained laughter. "And you," I said. "I was going to forward the email to you with a joke," she said. Then I decided to decline with a sentence he could quote to his reflection. I wrote no. I meant it. The admin saw his donor line and pressed confirm anyway. The calendar is innocent. The people are not. "Do you want to go?" I asked, hatting the liturgy I keep failing to retire. "I want to go to therapy with someone who lives in my house," she said. "I want to be read by a person who also wipes down our counters. I don't want a man who calls control context to sit between us and call the interruption care." We went back to the table because kitchens are better than courts. I clicked decline. A polite prompt asked if I wanted to add a message. Naomi took the phone and typed, "Please remove all third parties from any appointment that includes our names. Couples means us." She hit send with the kind of dignity that makes procedures irrelevant. Then she opened a new email to the therapist, this time only to her, and wrote, "If we ever return, I will invite my husband. This isn't that." "I'm not pure," she added, "because the pipes respect ceremony. I wanted to perform being saved in front of a witness who likes my sentences. Then I wanted to be saved by behavior while nobody but the dog was watching. I am trying to want the second first." "We need rules," I said, "because ritual is infrastructure for good nights. Tools, not bars." She smiled the way she does when we build something we intend to use. We wrote them on the back of her panel agenda with the pencil in the drawer that refuses to retire. 1. Nobody books our mouths without this kitchen speaking first. Therapy is not theater and calendars are not invitations. 2. CCing is not consent. If a sentence includes our names, the lamp hears it before any admin does. 3. Novelty is a chore. Your weeks, wrong hour for the right thing. My weeks, move the furniture until the light has to remember us. 4. When either of us misses being rescued by the wrong person, We say it out loud and do three stupid, ordinary things until wanting behaves. Peel oranges over the sink. Play one song to the end before anything important. Kiss in the doorway so the apartment believes us. We did them because midnight respects checklists. We peeled oranges. The bright smell turned the room forward. We played the song that knows the difference between apology and talent. We stood in the doorway and kissed until the pipes clicked like elderly witnesses, swearing we weren't lying. In the morning, I called the admin with the kind of politeness that leaves a mark. "Hi," I said. "We're not on your calendar unless we are both standing in our kitchen asking for it." She apologized the way institutions do, competently, with form letters, and removed all addresses except the one that contains the dog. I deleted the old therapy link from our browser's muscle memory. Naomi made coffee and read me a student paragraph about restraint that didn't make either of us want to change professions. "Discipline is desire with a boundary," she said, rolling her eyes at her earnestness and liking it anyway. "I want hours." At lunch, because superstition wears research like a raincoat, I walked past the museum that will host the next gala. The banners were already pretending to be timeless. Under the portico, Navy practiced benevolence with someone who looked like she hadn't decided whether to be new. He saw me and arranged the blessing he keeps in his pocket. "You're lucky," he said. "I trained," I said, and kept my back for the person who earned it. I went a loom because victory tastes better when Anna names it and Mara ignores it on purpose, which is her way of saying continue. Anna slid me a cookie I pretended to refuse. Her look insisted I required bread. "Bread," she said, tapping the counter like an oath. Sometimes the world tries again. The Ride app asks to round up to charity to sanctify a commute. The doorbell guesses names and guesses wrong. The TV autoplays a slideshow where captions audition as ethics. The bank suggests a spa as if softness could be expensed. We put whatever it is on the table, turn on one lamp, and ask for one sentence we can live inside. It keeps being enough until it isn't, and then we add a rule instead of a fight. On Thursday, Naomi texted from 2 blocks away. "Bring a lemon to loom. Sister mismanaged tea." I brought 2. Her sister cried into pastry and then laughed in the register Naomi loves most. We walked home in rain that finally remembered to be only weather. That night we moved the couch 2 inches and the light forgot and remembered us, which we took as proof that rooms and people can be trained. Yesterday the therapist replied with professional contrition. "Thank you for clarifying boundaries," she wrote. "I have removed unauthorized parties." Attached was a new availability grid that looked like a chessboard. Naomi filed it in a folder named Maybe Later and pinned a note over the folder named Always Now. Room 0. Lamp on. 2 people. Last night, alone for an hour I didn't want, I opened Calendar and added an event that made me laugh when I typed it. Couples recurring daily kitchen. Invitees, me, Naomi, dog optional. Location, doorway. Alerts, oranges at 10, song at 10:05. When Naomi came in without a lanyard, she put her hand on my chest like a sentence she intended to keep. "Accept," she said, not as a question but as a ceremony. I tapped yes. The lamp did its job. The ceiling forgave us for practicing again. And before sleep found us, I deleted tomorrow's other invitation, watched the square vanish without resentment, and felt our apartment keep our appointment with itself. Quiet, competent, unobserved. Exactly the kind of rescue no witness would ever be able to misquote.